Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Karen Drucker. Thank you! Start that track for me, darling. Are you ready?
Ready!
We're going to begin. How does it begin? There you go. Good job. This place rocks, you know that? People try to tell me who I'm supposed to be. Do you believe that? But I know the truth, and that truth has set me free. Oh, turn up a little bit more. These people want to rock. I can feel it. The media tries to tell me each and every day how to look, how to act, what to feel, and what to say. But I have a secret, I've known it since birth. I said I'm whole and I'm complete, and I know what I'm worth. But when I need a shot of self-worth, I say I'm whole and I'm complete, and I know what I'm worth. You know what I'm talking about. I say no to anyone who tries to judge me. I say yes to my own divinity. This new way of being feels like rebirth. I say I'm whole and I'm complete, and I know what I'm worth. Great, here we go. I'm worthy. A little choreography if you want to do that too. I'm worthy. Yeah, yeah. Say this, you worthy. Say your inner critic. Worthy. Worthy. And then you say this. I know what I'm worth. I know what I'm worth. I know it. Know it. Know it. Know what I'm worth. I know what I'm worth. I know it. Know it. Know what I'm worth, I know what I'm worth, I know it, know it, know it. Know what I'm worth, I know what I'm worth, I know it. I know what I'm worth when push comes to shove. Know what I'm worth, I'm just a beacon of love. Know what I'm worth, I'm an angel of light. Shining, 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 so bright. Here we go, last time, here we go, say, I'm worthy. Yeah, I'm worthy. So do you know it? Yeah. Do you really? Yeah. Good. So I'm done. Thanks so much. Thank you. Sometimes I give myself permission to be all I can be. I give myself permission to live passionate and free. I give myself, you got it, permission to be all I can be. To be all I can be. I give myself permission to live passionate and free. Okay, so now think about to live passionate and free. What would you put in that space? To da 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 da. So you think about it for a second. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Actually, put your hand over your heart for one moment. Check in with your heart. I give myself permission to what? What is the first thing that comes up? So you're going to put that in that little place. I give myself, doesn't have to rhyme, permission, be out of time, to be all I can be. I give myself permission. Permission, here's the word. Da 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 da. I give myself permission to be all I can be. To be all I can be. I give myself permission. Permission. What? Da 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 da. All right, let me hear. What were some of them? To what? What?
Healing.
Healing. What else?
Healthy.
Healthy.
Happy.
Happy.
Let go.
Let go.
Oh, live with positivity.
Live with positivity.
Live all out.
What is it?
Live all out.
Live all out.
Sailing.
Sail. Let's go sailing right now. What else? Mundane. They can be mundane things. You know, give myself more time to rest. Go to movies more. What else?
Charge what I'm worth.
Charge what you're worth. Amen, sister. What else? Let's talk later. What else? Give me a few more.
Succeed or rich.
Rich. Yeah, talk to her. What else? One more. To play. Permission to play. So this is what this is about today. Permission is really just about allowing. It's saying to Spirit, here I am, use me, I am here. What is it that is in our way that keeps us from being all of who we are, what we want to do, what we want to have? A lot of it is that little voice inside that says, oh, well, you know, not so much, not so much. You know, and that's what I want to look at today in my talk and also this afternoon, is that idea of what is it that's keeping us from being all of who we are and allowing our lights, like Ken was just saying, just to be that presence, letting our lights just shine. Where do we have little clouds that just kind of come in and go, oh, maybe not so much. You know, something happened after I turned 50. Anyone here 50? Oh, you're fabulous. So, you know, after I turned 50, there was some part of me that just like switched over and just said, you know, that little voice that's always limiting me and saying, you know, just don't be too much. My father always used to say, don't be too much, you're never going to get a guy. Thanks, Dad, that's like 4 years of therapy. And, you know, don't be too much, just switch down. So all my life, I would always just be wondering, you know, am I too much, am I too much? And then finally, after 50, it was just like, you know, I'm 50, I'm fabulous, get out of my way. I'm here. You like me, you don't like me, whatever. I'm here to just do what it is that I have to do. Can I hear an amen on that?
Yes. So it is.
And so it is. And so one of the things that I realized with permissions is it's a spiritual practice. It's a spiritual practice that every day that you wake up in the morning and you say, how do I want to be today? It's funny, I'm working on a new CD, and one of the very first song is Today I Choose. It's a new congregational song. Hopefully you'll all be singing, but it starts off, what do I want to say today? I choose. What do I want to be today? I choose. What do I want to be today? Not so much what do I want to do. What do I want to be? What do I want to be? You know, you were doing my sign language for the face of God. You know, this is God. This is the sign language for God. And I do that a lot when I sing. I just do this because it brings me back to that center, that place that knows the truth of my being. Not over here where my brain got in. It's like I come back to this place. I call it my GPS, my God positioning system. Because, you know, we all do that. We go off. I mean, that's why we come to a place like this. Because we have to be reminded. We have to look at each other and say, oh, you are the face of God. Oh, I see you. You are a blessing of the world. We see each other. We reflect back to each other. mean, I think that's why that song has kind of traveled around the world without me. You know, it's just sort of gone these places because I think that little song, You Are the Face of God, reminds us that I'm you are me. I see you, you see me, namaste. You know, it's just that reflection back and forth. That's what we're here for. That's really all it is. There's only love. That's it. But it starts every day as a spiritual practice of saying, what do I give myself permission to be? And so I don't know about you, but sometimes when I start my day, you know, if the alarm clock goes off, I don't know that I have loving thoughts in my mind. I don't wake up going, oh, it's a brand new day, and then I come out and I look in the mirror and go, oh, you beautiful thing, did you get more beautiful overnight? What's the deal? Oh my God. I don't know that I always do that, and that's why I write songs like I start my day with love, or thank you for this day, Spirit. I have to have songs that remind me. And I know the power of the first thought that you think, and the power of music, in that I was at a hotel recently and the alarm clock radio went off. And the very first thing I heard that started my beautiful morning was Linda Ronstadt singing to me, "You're no good, you're no good, you're no good." And she goes, "I'm gonna say it again, you're no good, you're no good." And so what do you think my day was like? All day long, I'm trying to do a task, and I'm hearing, "You're no good, you're no good." So I'm here to infuse you with the idea of giving yourself permission to start your day with love. But, you know, because I like to do little examples, I'm thinking, you know, you might need to have a physical example of this. So if you would, I have a little video here for you to watch.
Look, I can be a shark. Now, my whole house is great. I can do anything good. I like my school. I like anything. I like my dad. I like my cousins. I like my aunts. I like my Allisons. I like my moms. I like my sisters. I like my dad. I like my hair. I like my haircuts. I like my pajamas. I like my stuff. I like my rooms. I like my whole house. My whole house is great. I can do anything good. Yeah.
So you start your day that way? I like the house, I can do anything good. Okay, good enough. Thank you so much for doing that for me. I really appreciate that. Can you imagine looking in the mirror? You know, I like my hair, I like my thighs, I like my whatever. Can you do that? Can you try it, please? Because it is a practice. It's a practice of giving yourself permission to love yourself. And to start your day with love for yourself. And you know, I don't know about you, but I have this inner critic. Does anyone have an inner critic? Because I could skip this part.
Which one?
There is a committee sometimes. So I have an inner critic. Her name is Zelda. And Zelda is great because Zelda keeps me in line, and she'll just comment on absolutely everything that I do. And the thing that I love about Zelda that I realize is that she's actually there to tell me when I'm stretching and growing. So where I used to just say, well, how can I get rid of her? How can I get rid of her? You know, that ain't gonna happen. Sorry. It ain't gonna happen because that voice is there. It's like, how do we dance with the voice? How do we dance with it? How do we learn to love it? How do we learn to incorporate it? And so my first permission to not be perfect. Because you know you're already perfect. It's that other part, that Zelda part, that inner critic part that's just going, oh, really? You're going to do it that way? You know, your mother's voice in your head saying, you know, your sister could do it better than you. And, I mean, actually, I have this list just because I'm thinking that maybe you don't relate to this. You know, you're too fat, you're too skinny, you're not good enough, you don't have talent, not smart, not funny. You should have gone to college. You know, you should have done better. You should have known better. Blank is better than you. Or why can't you be more like blank? If only you could try harder, then you would be someone. But don't even try, why bother? You're gonna fail. If only you look different or prettier or handsome, you know, you're not really lovable, you're selfish, you're mean, you're boring. You know, all those kinds of things. Does anyone have this or is it just me? So one of the things I've learned about permission to not be perfect, I wrote a little song called, I don't have to be perfect, I'm doing the best I can. I give myself permission to To be just who I am. Sing that with me. I don't have to be perfect. Do the best I can. I'm doing the best I can. Give myself permission. I give myself permission to be just who I am. To be just who I am. Permission to be just who I am with every single part of me. Every part of me. That I allow myself to incorporate what she says to me and say, you know what I say to her now when she comes up? Which she does whenever I stretch. Pretty much every day. I know you were there and I hear what you say, but that is not my truth today. Can you practice this with me? You have to get the attitude. I know you were there and I hear what you say, but that is not my truth today. In all my women's retreats, I have this wonderful exercise that we do, that I have everybody walk around and you have to say, the truth about me is, I'm a great friend. The truth about me is, I'm a good listener. The truth about me is, I'm a great cook. Or I've swum the English Channel, whatever it is. You know, whatever it is. And it's so funny because whenever I tell everybody that this is what we're going to do, you see everyone's eyes glaze over and they start to like rehearse what they're, you know, what they're good at. And then I say, well, but no, every time you go up to someone, you have to say something different. And they go, you know, and I go, you're 56 years old. You have more, you only have 3 things that you're saying you're good at, or that you accept yourself for, that you love yourself for. Give me a break. But that's what we do. We compartmentalize and just go, what? I'm only going to give myself permission to see this good part of me. You know, it's a great exercise. Ask people what they think of you. Tell me some good things about myself. That's a little creepy, isn't it? To actually open up to have them say, wow, you know, you are a friend, you're a great listener, you're someone that I would know that I could call at 3 a.m. But. And it's allowing that to be so for you, that you take that in. But you know, I learned a long time ago that accepting myself and loving myself was a choice. And who I was going to give my power to was a choice. And when I was 13 years old, I was growing up in Los Angeles, in Hollywood. Yes, people are actually born in Hollywood. And I grew up in Hollywood, and I was such a geek. Well, we were talking about hair before. So did anyone ever have a relationship with the product Dippity Doo? Oh. So I had this curly hair when I was growing up in Hollywood. You were supposed to have long, blonde, straight hair like Peggy Lipton from the Mod Squad. That's what, you know, you're supposed to be named Brittany or Buffy, and you just go, oh, I have long hair, and I'm like, so cool. And so I had this, and so every single night I took an entire can of Dippity Doo and I slathered it all over my hair in the attempts to make it straight by morning. I'd take this side and put it up like this with bobby pins, and this side with bobby pins, and then an orange juice can on top. What that was about, that's probably 4 years of therapy. And then a little pink, tape that you get right there. And so I would sleep like this, and in the morning my hair would come down like because it would be so dry and brittle, and then if it was ever foggy in Los Angeles, my hair would rise like this. It was really pathetic, but I'm so afraid that you're not being able to get the visual of this because you're Superman now. So I brought a visual aid so that you can see. Now you don't have to feel bad about laughing at this picture because you know you all have the same one, right? But this is who I was back in 8th grade, and I love it with the full set of braces going like this. But you know, I was trying so hard, and here's an example of I give myself permission right now to own this part of me that just felt like I had to try hard and look like everybody else. But here's the thing, when I was that age, I had a mentor, and I thought if I could be like her, there was hope for me, and that person was Carol Burnett. Do you remember Carol Burnett? And so every single Friday, I would take the bus down from school, and I'd go to the Carol Burnett show, and I'd wait in line for 2 hours. I would wear the same little polka dot dress every time, and make a beeline to that chair right there, and pretty soon she would come out and she would wink at me, and it was like, oh my God, she knows me, we're BFFs. And it was very exciting for me. But the story I want to tell you about this is that one time I'm watching her do her question and answer period. Do you remember when she used to do that on her show? And I'm just sitting there like everybody else, and then all of a sudden out of the blue, I can feel that my palms are getting all sweaty. And I can feel that my heart is just racing in my little chest. I'm going, am I having a heart attack? What is happening? And out of the blue, I mean completely, this is how I know spirit works in mysterious ways. Because out of the blue, my hand goes up and I go, ah, and I try and get it down. And in that moment, she saw me. She probably wanted to know who this weird stalker kid was. And she says, yes, you know, what would you like to ask? And I'm like a deer in the headlights. I have no idea how I even got in this position. I'm just freaking out. But I remember that the week before, I had won the Edgar Rice Burroughs Tarzan calling contest. So I said, I'd like to challenge you to a Tarzan calling contest. She goes, great, come on up. And I'm freaking out, and I get up on stage. You know, I look like this, I'm just this dippy kid. But I get up on stage, and all of a sudden I look out and hear all 300 people just beaming up at me, this love and acceptance, and she's so sweet, and I'm standing next to my idol, and I'm just in heaven, until I look out right where all of you are sitting. Here are all the cool girls from my school, who were all doing that Valley Girl kind of, oh my God, is that Karen Drucker? We are so embarrassed. Oh my God, do you know her? Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. And they're just making the rolling eyes, and they're doing this, and in that moment, I could feel my entire being just shut down. I felt shame, embarrassment. I gave up all my power. All I could think of is, how do I get myself out of this situation? That's all I could think of. And that's when I realized, I mean, it's just an amazing situation that happened for me, because at that early age, I just really got this infusion of spirit, because I felt like there was a line right here in front of me. And I could either stand back here and be that drippy girl and give them all the power, and I'm not worthy, and I'm, or I could stand over, I could step over that line, and I could be in all of my greatness. Whatever that looked like, pimples and straight hair and all, I could just be who I am and give myself permission to be in my power. So I remember standing there, I remember looking at Carol Burnett, I remember looking at those girls, and then going, thank you very much. And that was the first time in my life that I ever felt that connection to spirit, that connection to, wow, this is what it is. It's a choice, it's a decision, it's a permission to give yourself that power. And she's so gracious, she let me win, you know, so everyone's going, ah, like this. And I sit down in my little seat, and I was just changed. And of course, now the next day I go to school and I see those same girls, and they're like, oh, Karen, you're so cool, you want to be in our group? And I'm like, no. But the other thing I've learned about some of this stuff is that permission to give yourself that time to check in with your heart, to see what is true for you. So I had you do this at the very beginning, to just check in with your heart. But you know, this is to me one of the most important spiritual practices. To start your day every day by just putting your hand over your heart, taking a deep breath. You can even like sometimes put your finger up like you're checking the weather, you know, or you're giving yourself a time out, and just say, what is mine to be today? What is true for me today? What is a yes in my life? What's a no in my life? You know, years ago I've been a Bread and Roses performer for many years. Bread and Roses takes performers into institutions and convalescent homes and whatever, and I was part of a little theater troupe. We used to go into children's hospitals with this little puppet show, and my character was named Dr. Heart, and I was covered head to toe in hearts, big heart Spock, and I had a little stethoscope. And I had, my job in this whole little play was I had to keep going up to the little kids, and I would go up and go, what does your heart have to say? What does your heart have to say? And these little Landy Poos would just look up at me and go, oh, my heart kind of hurts because I can feel my mom and dad are so worried about me. Oh, my heart is upset because I want to go out and play. And you know, my job was not to say even anything to them. Just let it be, what does your heart have to say? And if we could do that every day with ourselves, to really tell the truth, I give myself permission to tell the truth to myself. Just to be honest with myself, I give myself permission to check in with my heart and see what is a yes or a no. You know, saying no is a big deal for me. I actually, you know, you get to see what all my issues are by listening to any of my songs. And you see what all my issues are. And I wrote a song called The N.O. is My New Yes. It's this big anthem song. And one of the lines in that song, which I swear I channeled because I'm going, really, that's really great, but I think it just came through. It's just how good is my giving, how authentic, how true, when I cheat me just to please you. I'll repeat that. How good is my giving? I mean, how true am I really being in my giving? I mean, especially like in a church situation when we're asked to be on, you know, service teams, it's like, really, check in with your heart. Is this really true for you? How good is my giving? How authentic, how true when I cheat me just to please you? Years ago when I first started doing this kind of work and I was traveling all over the country, it was like, I'm in service. You know, I'll just go anywhere because I'm in service. And then I completely burned myself out. So now what I'm learning to do is say, well, I learned this great phrase, you can be a good person doing good service badly. So in other words, when you check in with your heart, you say, you know, is this true for me? Is this a yes, a resounding yes? Or is there some part of me just going, oh, no? Whether it's service, whether it's going out to dinner, whether it's seeing a movie, whether it's changing jobs, whatever, it's checking in with your heart first. And one of the things that I've learned is that if I have this next to me, well, I should have this next to it. Right. Oh, no.
No.
Here's my favorite one.
For the last time, no.
So, if I practice, if I give myself permission to say no and practice that no button, you know, practice that no muscle, it gets easier. But on the flip side of the no is the yes. What are you saying yes to? And a lot of times that's a lot scarier. You know, it's a lot scarier to say, I'm saying yes to writing my book. I'm saying yes to changing this job or moving or having a new relationship or getting into a relationship. Whatever it is, I give myself permission to be all of who I am. All of who I am. And I had a friend who is an example of not giving herself permission to shine her light. And this is a singer friend of mine that was part of a trio in Bryn County, Nicholas Glover and Ray. Do you all know them?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so good friends of mine. And Willow, beautiful singer, would come to me every so often and say, Karen, you know, I love singing with this trio, but I've got all my own songs that I want to sing. And I've been writing songs for years, and it's time for me to make my own album. And you have all these albums out, you know, would you help me? Willow, I am there for you whenever you want to do this. And we'd have this conversation. I'd expect a phone call and it would never come. And, you know, I would see her at parties, whatever, and this would go on for years and years and years. And finally, she gets diagnosed with cancer. She calls me up, she says, okay, now it's time. I really want to make this album. This is something that's on my mind, I want to do it. And I go, great, I'm there for you. And never heard from her again. And time went on, she worked with her cancer, was in remission. But then finally, what happened with Willow? It's such an amazing story because what happened for her is that she started to decline. And she went into the hospital and they said, you have 2 weeks. You have basically 2 weeks. And it was at that moment she said, damn it, I'm doing it. And she rallied all her friends who worked 14, 16-hour days in a period of 2 weeks. Now I'll tell you something, I have 15 albums out. It usually takes like 6 months to a year to do an album. They got everything recorded in 2 weeks. She had like this revival of her vital signs. You know, she would start to sing and she was sounding great and she was feeling better. People were thinking she was going into remission because she was doing so well. But she recorded all these songs, went home, they did a rush on the manufacturing, and now she's kind of starting to go down even more. And now she's kind of in between the worlds. And all of her friends are waiting for that UPS truck to come with her CD. And finally, at 4 o'clock one day, it drives up and they all race out and they come back and they put on the album and they put it, she was kind of in a kind of daisy state at this point. They put the album in her hands, they start playing it really loud, they're hoping that somehow she's hearing it. And the very next morning she wakes up completely lucid, completely alive and awake. She looks at it, what do you think the first thing she does? She starts to check for any mistakes on the liner notes. But she reads it, she's hearing it. Her friends say that she just says, "Oh, isn't this great?" And then what she did was she kissed it, she threw it across the room, and she said, "Now go out in the world and do your work." And she died the next morning. So I tell you this story not to say it in a sad way, but to say, don't wait. With whatever you're wanting to do, anything in your life, whatever you're holding yourself back from, or giving yourself permission to be, to do, to have, any of that stuff, don't wait. Because we want your gift. We want who you are. And you know, one of the things I think about the Willa story is that maybe that's exactly the way that she needed to do it. So there's not judgment about, oh, she waited so long, and too bad for her that she can't see the effects of it. Maybe that's divinely orchestrated, that she was supposed to do it that way. And about just a few months ago, we had a big celebration, and people sang her songs, and everyone celebrated her, and it was an incredible, wonderful, moving event. And her legacy lives on. You can get this album. I mean, it's a beautiful album. But the truth is, we are each of us gifts. We are here to shine our light. And when we deny that, when we don't give ourselves permission to have that, we deny the world. So I'm here to just simply remind you today, you are a gift. You are a gift. So if you'd start that for me, darling, I'll sing that little song.
All right.
Want me to get it for you?
Yes. Sorry.
So just take a deep breath.
It was giving itself permission to go somewhere else.
Let me see here. Here we go. Okay, so turn it on. Oh, well, it's playing, so why is that off? Okay, let's do it again. Okay, so now turn this off, this part. No, not that.
Okay. Got it.
My headset. There you go, turn it out a little bit. Oh, you know what, I can sing with this, it's okay. I'd rather get close to people. Oh wait, now we gotta start from the beginning. Okay, there we are.
Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome. See, I don't have to be perfect. That's what's so great about starting off that way. I am a gift, no matter what age, no matter how I look. There's beauty in each stage. I am a gift, and I promise every day that when I look in the mirror, I'll say, I am a gift. So can you sing that line with me? Just say, I am a gift. I am a gift. I've loved really well, and every year I've lived has a different tale to tell. I've made mistakes, and I have some regrets, but I promise I'll never forget that I am a gift. Sing that with me. I am a gift. And there may be times when I forget the truth about me. When it seems time and youth, they're just marching on without me. That's when I need you to find me, and ever so gently remind me that I am a gift, God's precious child. I was put here on this earth, but only for a while. So I make this vow, and I say it with love. I am perfect and whole. we allow ourselves to drop in that place that knows the truth about who we are. And anytime that critic comes up, you just say, you know what? The truth about me is I am whole, I am worthy, I am a gift to the world, and I give myself permission to be all of who I am. That is the truth about me. There may be times when I forget the truth about me. When it seems time and youth, they're just marching on without me. That's when I might need you to find me and ever so gently remind me that I am a gift. I'm God's precious child. I was put here on this earth, but only for a while. So I make this vow, and I say it with love, sweet love. I am perfect and whole and enough. I am a gift. Repeat that line with me. I am perfect and whole and enough. I am perfect and whole and enough. Do it one more time. I am perfect and whole and enough. I am. Say I'm a gift. I am a gift. Think about people in life and tell them you are a gift. You are a gift. It could be someone who's sitting right next to you or across from you. You are a gift. They might need to hear it today. You are a gift. You are a gift. You are. You are a gift. So repeat after me. I am perfect, whole, and complete. I tell my critic to back off. Because the truth about me is I'm fabulous. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it.